So welcome to the 19th video community of practice meeting. I'm Pankaj Agrawal, founder of Next Software Solutions and working group leader of this community of practice. To review the last meeting, in the last meeting we discussed changes to published vocabulary that Jason had published. Uh, Jason has made some updates since then to the vocabulary, and we have identified few more corrections. So he'll update the remaining things pretty soon. Uh, Apart from that, we also discussed and reviewed vocabulary items. Specifically, we discussed mostly on session ID and on terminated and abandoned verb. And it was decided and clarified that a new session starts as soon as an initialized statement is sent. And and the session ID will be the statement ID of the initialized statement. So all the rest of the statements in the session will contain that as the session ID. Apart from that, I had created this profile, what we would call profile page, which we wanted to start work on documentation. Jason had suggested Gitbook, so we decided to work on it later. I started working on it a bit. Still not very comfortable with it. We might need to decide the best way to deal with it. So that is what we discussed last meeting last month. Apart from that, I have few updates uh, on the way. So Jason also published the RDF turtle file, and I've given some reviews. If you want to review that, I can provide the link. Let me see where it is. Um, this is a visualization of the TTL file. The TTL file is this.
I'd never seen that one before, Pancake. What was that showing? The graph?
Uh, yeah, uh, let me send you the link. So this is the RDF file that Jason has created, and the graph is visualization of that RDF turtle file. So this shows all the graph is not complete, I guess. It doesn't so the verbs. So I don't know how it is visualized. I'm not very good with RDF, so if Jason was here, he could explain better, I guess. But anyway, I'll send you this graph link as well.
That's cool. That's auto-generated though?
Yeah, so this graph is generated using the TTL file, and it shows all the extensions that we have created and the data types, uh, linkages to definition, the scope note, label. Yeah, so it is a visualization, but the main thing is the TTL file itself. So this is the RDF file. So if you want, you can review review it offline and send any correction, any changes, any suggestions, and we can get it updated. So this was one of the update. Apart from that, there has been some work going on between Caliper and xAPI. I don't have much information, but Jason sent me this information that uh, there is some work going on to harmonize the work, and maybe the profiles will also get modified, changed, or harmonized between how xAPI profile works and how Caliper metric profiles work. So there might be new things coming up in future. But apart from this, there's two major update. One is from Jason that he's working on prototypes for video profile using JW Player, and also on prototype for social login profile. So he's working on those two profiles, and the prototypes will probably be ready by next month. Another update is from John Kevin. He's also on this meeting, so he might be able to explain it better. He has started working on Video.js based prototype. So, John, would you like to explain anything about it?
Sure. I mean, I think for this group, it'll be pretty easy to explain. Our group just does a bunch of instructional design, and we just want to use all the work that we've put together out of this video COP. So we're going to be extending JS Player to push out the statements that we've defined via vocabulary and profiles. So I didn't actually know that he was going to use JW Player, so I'll look at that and maybe we can align work. I have to get a better sense of that player's functionality, but um, yeah, we'll be doing the same thing. So JS Player, if you're not familiar with it, um, is an open source video player, Chromeless. So you can do some custom styling on it, which we do a lot of. So JS Video, I mean. So yeah, we'll just be extending that, making sure that we can collect statements via any player that gets any video that gets pushed through it, and using the vocabulary that we've agreed on via this group.
That's great.
We'll
So,
open source it, so obviously everybody can use it.
yeah, that would be great for the community. So yes, there has been choices, and we had discussed on these two different libraries. One is JW Player and one is Video.js Player. And the main difference was that JW Player, I think it is free for not free for commercial use.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, so the last time what we saw was that it was not free for commercial use, and Video.js is free for commercial use. It is completely open source, and there are several plugins for different types of videos, I would say. So which types are you working on or planning to work on?
What types of video?
Yeah, or video players.
Well, at the very least, we're going to make sure it works with YouTube and Vimeo as streaming services, because
Okay.
those are the sources that the schools that we work with have to use. But since there's ultimately a translation through the Chromeless interface, anyways, I don't see why it would matter, as
Mhm.
long as it's the more traditional functionality you're capturing and not any like quiz embedding or something. So
Mhm. Yep.
So are you so on like YouTube and Vimeo? Are you doing browser plugin? Is that how you're doing it, or you're doing a custom portal?
it's a custom plugin for the Video.js player itself. So that library has its own plugins already that handle pulling in YouTube and Vimeo and I think Flash and other video sources into that tool, and then it lets you customize the interface and some other functionality, do some analytics and stuff on it. So we're just gonna extend their existing player to also collect xAPI statements via our vocabulary, which will kind of in a way just be an extension of the YouTube and Vimeo plugins that already exist. I think at least we're still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to take the approach, but you would essentially load this JavaScript on your web page and then feed it a video URL, and it would manage the streaming and playback.
Make it part of the JW object or JavaScript object that's on the page, I guess, and that would then send the events from there, I guess.
The video.js one, yeah. So just instead of using the normal video HTML5 tag, you would call it via video.js instead. So here, let me share the link with you for the player. And essentially it's the same. Essentially, it's the same as JW Player as far as I can tell, based on my understanding of this technology, which is limited since I just started looking at it. But you would load this like you would load jQuery, to make calls to it. Only
include file and then just call the object, I guess, at some later point.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So we'll have to set up proper customization for what your LRS endpoint is and authentication and stuff like that. But we're just going to be injecting. We'll be collecting statements by capturing the events that happen through the video.js Chrome player.
So basically, you would load the xAPI wrapper library and then load the video.js library and maybe the related plugins like YouTube or Vimeo plugins for video.js, and might need to write a wrapper that adds the functionality for sending statements.
Also, what platform are you going to target first, video.js or JW Player?
So Jason is already working on JW Player, and
okay.
John Keevan has started working on video.js.
I see.
So let's move ahead. John, if you need any help in any way you think we can help, we'll try to help the best we can. So yes, let's move ahead. Now, one key important thing that I wanted to discuss was changing this schedule of this meeting. I had sent a link on the invite as well, so I'll post it here in the chat. So the thing is that Tuesdays generally doesn't work very well for me, and today I got a message from Jason that Tuesdays doesn't work for him as well. So we thought that it might be best to move it to either Friday or Monday. So here is a poll that you can go and select what works for you. So yes means yes. Yes with a bracket means if need be, and no means it doesn't work for you. So you can select all four or whatever works for you and which doesn't work for you. Patrick,
Yes.
waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was looking at my calendar here.
Okay.
There we go. I submit it.
Okay, cool. So we might be looking at first Monday every month at 3 p.m. or maybe first Friday 3 p.m. So I'll wait a little more, maybe a few days, and see if some other people can vote in, and then we can decide. So currently we are probably looking at first Mondays every month on 3 p.m. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now the key thing that we have to do is documentation, and if anyone has worked with GitHub or Gitbook, I need your suggestions on what best we should do.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly done some. Not a super expert, but I can usually manage to get things checked in if need be.
Yeah, so the first thing is to get all the information on GitHub, or maybe use this Gitbook. It is almost same as GitHub, probably, but it does inline update to styling, so it's comparatively easier than GitHub, writing directly in GitHub.
Okay.
Now, the key question here is the structuring of the document. How should we structure the document, and any other suggestions anyone has?
I don't know if we have this section, but it'd be interesting to have like maybe an implementation section or a best practices, or how to get started with it section. And if we're able to create like something that's been useful for me anyway in the past is just creating like a sample project to follow, and then makes it easy to point out to the other sections saying, refer to this area or this area as you start using this or start considering to use this.
So those things would generally be outside of the profile itself.
Okay.
We could have some example statements on the document, but any prototype or explanative tutorial about implementation would be outside the document, the profile document itself. It would definitely be useful to have those things. So just like in the xAPI spec, some of the documents are there. For example, the document relating to launching of the content, or some other documents that are related to xAPI and are very useful, but they are outside the spec itself. So when we are talking about the spec, it'll have all the details that is required to implement the profile, and then the prototypes will help implementation and help adoption. So just like Jason and John is working on the prototypes for video profile, those prototypes will eventually help in implementing the profile. And as those will be open source, people could use those code in their own implementation as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a way to get to the document that you're looking at right now to kind of look through it? I don't think I've seen it all together in one page like this before.
This is just a scrap. I have just started thinking on what can be done. So this list you see, it is like glossary of words and explanation, and I haven't written it down. I have copied it from this xAPI spec. So xAPI spec has this definition of these words. So I've just copied all of them. So we might want to review and remove some of them later.
Oh, I see.
And add more definition as required for video itself. So I haven't even decided on the exact structure of document. So maybe we should decide on the structure of the document, and we can fill in information later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And then are you also thinking of bringing in the document that we've been working on up until now, the Google Doc,
Yes.
that has all the vocabulary and stuff in it? Okay.
Yeah, so this document has all the information, and it is kind of a scratch pad. There are a lot of unrequired information as well. So
Yep.
this is a scratch pad document which we have until now. Then we created another document which was video vocabulary. This document has the list of verbs and all the extensions, definition of those extensions, how they can be used, and some information about those. If you want, you can go to this document from this link, controlled vocabulary. So this link goes to this Google Doc of video vocabulary. There is another document. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, should those be merged into that big README file, or are you thinking just to put links to the Google Docs to it from the README?
Which two should be merged?
The spreadsheet page, would you copy that into the Git page for the README, or like this one?
Yeah, kind of. So we have to copy this information somewhere in the Git book page.
In here somehow, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way in Git to do a spreadsheet view, or is it just we would format it as a regular text document?
Yeah. So this is a document that is created using Git. Document that gets stored in GitHub. So it is almost like GitHub. You can create tables like these.
Okay.
It won't be a spreadsheet, but it can be a table.
table. Okay. So I think, yeah, so that would be good. Where are you planning to publish these documents? Are they going to be under they're going to be under the ADL GitHub, or are they going to be somewhere else?
Uh, I don't think it matters much. Currently, it is published under my own account. If ADL asks it to get transferred, it will be transferred. Otherwise, it will stay here. So it doesn't matter because it is open source. It is public. Everyone can use it. If you are working, if you can work on the document, I can. Yeah, you can fork it and you can just.
Sure. The only reason I ask is I remember during the other communities of practice that we uploaded some of the final copies to underneath the ADL's GitHub page. But like you said, it doesn't really matter. It could be copied over once it's set up.
For the spec,
yeah.
Yeah, for the spec, it is under ADLnet. For CMI5, initially it was under CMI5, then it moved to, I think it moved CMI5.
I think CMI5 they have two different repositories.
Okay, maybe. So CMI5, this one I can see it is under AICC. So
yeah.
I don't think it got moved. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We just need to get the work done.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, the reason I was asking was more like if you create the initial pages and do the edits inside the about page and stuff, usually using the Git tool, usually you create pull requests and that kind of thing to use that as kind of your versioning and all that. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
So with Git you can do it with Git's directly. You can edit it from GitHub site, and this Git book is something different, but it pulls from there and then it publishes back to GitHub. So this is kind of an editor for GitHub. Now,
okay.
Apart from being an editor, it is also a publishing tool. So it'll have its own page for the output. To show you an example, this is what. Let me see what this. Yeah, this is an example that Jason had sent last month. So this is a published document for xAPI vocabularies. Now you can see that this is one page, README. Then you can go to another page here. So in the left you can see there is a very nice navigation. You can click on these links and it goes to that specific page. If you want, I can send the link on the chat. Now what is happening is each of these links have a separate file on GitHub.
Right, and this parses it together as a view like that, right? The menu and stuff. Gotcha. Well, what do you think? So if we merge some of the spreadsheet and the Google Doc into the README, kind of get everything in there, and then start moving things around, is that what you're thinking might be the next step?
The thing is that it is comparatively tough to work in GitHub, or even in Gitbook it is not as easy as it was working on these Google Docs or Google Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree. For when we're doing our working groups, it's certainly much easier as part of the COP just to keep working in Google Docs. But I was thinking for purposes of publishing, right, we need to put everything onto GitHub maybe.
Yeah, so that is exactly what we need to do. We have to publish all the information that we had on this general information which is required to be published, and all the information that is on the vocabulary which is required to be published. It should be in one place, which could be this Gitbook page, or it could be plain vanilla GitHub. So this Gitbook looks comparatively neat than the standard GitHub pages. So this is a GitHub page.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is the Gitbook page published.
So one thing I just thought of as you were flipping around, the page that you're editing right now in the Gitbook is the overview page, and it looks like the overview should probably. I don't know if the overview is supposed to be all this stuff that you have in here. I think maybe some of this needs to go into a README file, or maybe even another file, and the overview should maybe be just the overview, or does it normally contain all this stuff in here?
Yeah, that is a decision we can take. So you have made a good point that we can rename this to README or something that is like better than our overview. It could be summary or README or something like that.
At this point, it looks like it's all about definitions. So I would maybe suggest just calling it definitions and then creating a new or creating another page called overview, which just basically discusses at a high level the goals for our group.
Yeah. So before we start creating pages for these, I guess the best thing would be to decide the structure, like what things are required, and then based on the structure we can create pages and add information.
The way I see some of the other ones under ADL, like the xAPI wrapper, it looks like most of the stuff is under just the README file. You got a license, README, and then that's pretty much it. There's not too much other stuff.
The wrapper is just a library, so they didn't need much information in there.
Okay.
But this is a profile, so we'll need to have as much information as we can for people to be able to implement the profile.
So if we look at the SCORM profile, would that help us at all? I don't know how far along they are here.
Yeah, so this is the SCORM profile. In the SCORM profile, they have the glossary of words and then purpose, when to use this profile, how to use this profile, supporting SCORM features, general guidance,
This looks really good. This looks like it's almost the same as what we would be covering. Yeah, maybe we could use this one as a template.
Where are the words?
Just because it looks like it has most of, just because it's a profile as well, right? And so it should be pretty similar.
Maybe. So next we can look at CMI5. CMI5 is like this. So it is revision history, contributors, overview, scope, references, definitions, components. talk about components of these different things, and then
Yeah, I mean, these guys go in a little bit more in depth because they're dealing with the whole LMS side as well. But yeah, it might be good to use this one rather than the SCORM one. I don't know who is more active. I think CMI5 is very active, right, as far as developing this document.
yeah, CMI5 has done a lot of work, so
Yeah.
not comparable with any other profile, I guess.
As far as the structure on how they're doing things, though, are they just putting everything into a README file, or is there more than just the README file? I guess I haven't really looked too much at the Git pages.
So yeah. CMI5, they have, I think, mainly 3 documents. The README
Okay.
file just gives a basic logo and
Oh, basic information. Okay.
nothing in detail. And then the real documents are these 3. One is the spec, one is about runtime spec, and then course structure. So course structure only talks about the structure of the data, I think. Okay. So they have moved it to.
Looks like they've merged everything into the spec document. They're not maintaining these other documents.
Yeah. So earlier it was 3 separate documents. Now it is 1 document spec.
Gotcha. Okay. So there, if you scroll back up a little ways, they had a big section on abandon, continued, launch, failed. These would be similar to our verbs. So maybe if we model our document based on kind of how they're doing it here, I think that might be a good way to do it.
Yeah. So I like this section of CMI5,
I do too.
the xAPI statement data model.
Yeah. It's very clear and easy to get to. Yeah.
So they have explained each verb separately instead of a single table.
Mhm. Well, what we could do initially is maybe link to the table, and then if we need to, we can blow it out into separate ones.
We'll have to decide what is best. Creating one table and then separating the tables would be a double work.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking everything's in the table structure nicely the way it is right now.
This one?
Reformatting this. Yeah, exactly. But it would probably be too wide, right, for the page?
Yeah. So it will be wide, and I don't think we can just copy this into GitHub.
No, it'll be hard to read if nothing else. So it looks like we'll need to reformat that to kind of the way they've done it.
We cannot copy and paste Google spreadsheet into GitHub. So we have to create. To create entire table and format it. It's not always easy. So it is. I'll have to see what is the markup of this table. It's not always easy, at least not for me.
In the CMI5 page, can you edit and grab some of the source from in there, and it'll already be built, maybe?
Yeah. So we can do that. We can copy, paste, and then edit.
Okay. Well, if you'd like, I can give you a hand with some of this. if you set it up, give me a section to do, and I can go in and transfer some data over into that section. And
yeah, so one of the section could be this entire thing, xAPI statement data model, right? What do you
yeah,
say?
I guess it could be.
So
But
the entire thing could be on one page.
But
This,
so here's one problem, I think, maybe with just copying all that data, is that if it gets updated, because they're continue working on the spec and they're tweaking the language all the time, if we copy and paste all that, wouldn't that information go out of date slowly? I mean, it would take a long time, but would it not make more sense just to link back into the statement data model section, like that URL that you have right on top right now? Just link back and say, refer to this document.
This is for CMI5 spec. So
Okay.
their definition might not apply to us. So for example, they're talking about the AU. We might have to change this word to something else, like maybe learning record provider.
Oh, okay. I think I was thinking of the just the regular xAPI spec, the stuff that you had, the data definition stuff that you had copied over. That's what I was thinking of. If you go back over to the Git book.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, all this overview and definition stuff. I mean, a lot of that's duplicated right from the CMI spec itself.
This definition is just copied entirely from the xAPI spec. I haven't even read it.
So that's what I meant. Like, would it make sense to link to the xAPI spec for this particular section rather than duplicating it here? And then just focus on, the COP stuff, the video stuff.
That can be done, but it is a decision to be made. So maybe we can remove and add only vocabulary that is specific to videos, or we can add all relevant vocabulary and remove whatever is not related.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's a lot of, if you're coming into this and you're reading this for the first time and you're plowing through it, it's a lot, and then you're seeing potentially a lot of redundant information that you're reading somewhere else that might be slightly different. Like I don't really know, but say like metadata consumer is the spec, they might update it on that side, and we're not maintaining that content here. So on this copy, we wouldn't know to update it, and we might end up with some conflicting information between the two, or not conflicting, but maybe different information.
Yeah, that is one way of thinking. Another way of thinking is that, let's say, activity is defined in one way today and tomorrow they change it.
Yeah.
And it might not work with our definition of activity in this profile. So
yeah. So I agree. Yeah, if the definitions are different, then they need to be called out for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, for example, this LRP, learning record provider, learning record consumer, these words were added later. It was changed from something else. I guess activity provider. It was earlier activity provider. Now it is learning record provider.
And I don't know that we have anything specific around video language, do we, that we're defining as well? Can you think of anything? I don't
There
remember that.
might be few words at least. We'll have to. I think I have just copied it first, but this section might be one of the last sections that we might want to do.
Okay.
As we move ahead and we find new words when we are writing, we could add to the definitions.
Well, I think first things first. Maybe let's create an overview page like they have on the CMI5, and I don't know that we have a logo or anything either. Should we get one? Should we get a logo that'll be part of this profile?
Maybe so far we have just a banner. So
Okay, so yeah, so we can use that then, and then I would say let's let the overview page just be the overview page, and then and then move everything else into the main README file, because it seems like the way to do it.
first thing we should do is create table of contents kind of thing, so that we can decide what thing goes where and what things need separate pages.
Exactly.
Having too many pages would also be complicated.
I think like you saw in the CMI5, they had overview and README. I think we should
CMI5 has everything on one page currently. So README doesn't have any information. So everything is on this one long page.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I don't mind one long page, but if we are doing that, I think Gitbook would not be relevant. It could be used for editing, but it would not be very useful for viewing. So one important thing to decide is this page good, or is this one good? Like what do you like more?
The other question I would have, and I would probably need to ask Bill, is how does he update his GitHub pages? Because I know he does most of his stuff in text files, and I'm not really sure how he does it. I think he just does text files and then he copies things in, and probably makes it harder to format things. Bill with CMI5, he does all the README files and stuff. He maintains all these pages.
So he didn't work with any of this. I guess he used either the text file or directly updating it from here. So you can just go to edit and you can update.
Oh, I see. Just edit it right there. Okay.
So if I go to edit, this is the actual code that he had written. He and the team has written. So this is how it comes. So the thing is, one thing that is to be decided is this document better for the end result, or is this document better for the end result? This one has a table of content on the left.
The structure, yeah. I don't know. I kind of like both of them, but I wonder. I think for the sake of simplicity, maybe sticking with the way the CMI5 is doing it, initially anyway, I think would be my vote. Easy to see, easy to print, easy to view everything on one page. It's a long page, but until we get the actual structure built out and it looks good, splitting it up in this manner, I think wouldn't add too much value. It would kind of slow us down.
Slow in what way?
Well, because you would have to just remember where everything is in this format, and I can't say I'm going to be familiar with enough with the document to know exactly where everything is. For that reason, I would say one big page, kind of like CMI, is better.
There's a search as well, so you can search for anything, and it is pretty fast.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not that.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It's nice. It's probably more if you're searching for stuff and you're looking at a specific area. This document format is probably a lot more friendly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that would be another question I would have for Bill. You know, why did they decide to do it the way they're doing it now versus doing it in this format? Maybe he's got a reason, or maybe he doesn't.
I think the reason is that he didn't have this option before, or he didn't see this option before. So,
Right. That's the other thing. It might not even have been an option. I think he might not even be aware of it either. You know.
Yeah. So this Git book was suggested by Jason. So he has also worked a lot on the xAPI spec itself as well as the CMI5. So later when working with vocabulary, he used this one. So probably he found it later and he found it useful. So he just shared this information that this could be used. And it is not only on this page, it is also on the GitHub. So this is the GitHub page for this. This is the GitHub page. If anyone wanting to use GitHub directly, you can also use GitHub. So yes, I don't want to create too many pages, but this looks pretty good to me, especially the search.
I do like the revision history and the reviews in there as well. I don't think that's a section that we have right now in the Google Doc. So I think that would be good to have in there.
Yeah, so those we'll have to pick which items we need. So for example, we need this xAPI statement data model.
Yeah.
So it be one thing that we want. Maybe just remove this definition from.
Well, I think for purposes I know we're kind of running out of time a little bit on our meeting today, so I think at a minimum we should create that overview page or the summary page, or just a basic information page, and add that logo that we have, and start on building out some of the content. If you'd like me to reformat the table with the verbs on the spreadsheet into a GitHub page, I certainly could do that, and then we'll start putting it together and moving it around and working on the table of contents, like you said.
Okay, so maybe we can
And,
create a new page for xAPI statement data model.
yeah, I mean, to me, that really makes sense having that kind of separated out, just because it's kind of more like reference material rather than dealing directly with video.
I have created this page. Okay, and now
Cool.
in this page you could just maybe start with copying the information here. Copy, what you can do is you can just go and edit the CMI5 spec page and copy the text from there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. To have the table structure the same way as they have it set up.
So this part, xAPI statement data model, you can copy from there and then modify everything as per our requirement, that is the video vocabulary. So it'll change significantly from what it is there in the CMI5 spec, but this CMI5 spec will be able to give the structure, and you'd not need to figure out the this coding method.
A good idea. Yeah, that's a good way to go.
So if you can work on it, maybe you can work on the xAPI statement data model part of it.
Okay.
So do you need me to email you the links or something?
I'm gonna follow you on GitHub here, and I should be able to. You should be able to give me permission to maybe edit one of the pages. I'll send you a request, and then we'll see if that works. And then we'll go. I think we'll just go from there, and then we'll build it out from there.
Have you sent the request?
Not yet. No, I haven't sent anything. I need to get signed into GitHub and all that first.
Okay, should I send
So
this link or do you have it?
Let me see. It's just github.com. Live as Pancake.
Yeah, I'll send it on chat.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, thanks a lot, Pancake, for running this meeting. I'm gonna get going, and we'll talk to you next month probably.
Okay, great. So if there is anything you want, you can email me or we can chat offline and
Okay.
get ahead with this. Okay, thanks everyone.
Okay.
Have a good month and let's meet next month. We'll decide on the schedule later and I'll send an email.
Okay. Very good. Thanks a lot, and have a good day.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.